Now let's take a few minutes to look in some detail at how the 3D knowledge model works. So the first thing to acknowledge here is that this is a knowledge model. We're describing how information flows through a system and how we create the visibility that we need to make informed decisions and to understand the organization's overall context in how we do what we do and how that produces results. So this, of course, begins with our own knowledge of past work that we've done, maybe that other people have done, that have brought us to some particular moment where we need to be able to perform, to be able to create certain capabilities for our organization. We, of course, are impacted by the work of others. And so our ability and visibility into what those other teams are doing should affect how we do our work and the better quality of visibility that we have into the relevant impacts, the more informed we will be about how we carry out our own work. In turn, we want to be able to use that to drive and deliver on organizational goals and objectives, that we are carrying out work to help produce certain outcomes for our customers and stakeholders, and that is represented by this X plus. In other words, our ability to deliver on those outcomes. Keep in mind, of course, that we don't have perfect information. And so it may be the case that we deliver the desired outcome. It may be the case that for various and sundry reasons, there are gaps in the overall performance that may then drive our needs to improve our information or improve our knowledge for future activities. Likewise, as we are carrying out our work in turn impacts other teams. And so their ability to have visibility into what we are doing may affect their ability to carry out their own work and to deliver their own results. So at one plane of the 3D knowledge model, we're interested in understanding how information flows through our work, how impacts of other teams affect how we do what we do, and how what we do impacts other teams and how we create appropriate visibility for them so that they have good quality information and they can perform successfully. Now, of course, the reason for all of this is to help your organization achieve its broad organizational goals. So you can think of ZS, if you will, as the organization's strategic intent. Given its strategies and policies, what does the organization want to try to achieve? And what are the organization's broad strategic objectives? You can look at ZO then as operational intent. Given the organization's strategies, what exactly should we be focusing on operationally to build by provision the capabilities that we need in order to help the organization to achieve those strategic goals? And then, of course, there we are in the middle at ZG, trying to deliver on these operational goals, trying to help support these broader strategic goals. And so when we think about the 3D knowledge model and how it folds in here, right, we can look at, for example, when we produce and deliver certain outcomes for the organization, are they the correct outcomes to deliver on the operational intent? Do we have the right capabilities? Are there potentially gaps in those capabilities that we should identify and close in order to ensure that we can help deliver on the organization's strategic objectives? Likewise, if you're working, for example, as an auditor, you want to be able to provide meaningful levels of assurance to the governors of the organization that the outcomes, in fact, are being delivered, and that in turn that those are helping the organization to achieve the strategic goals that were identified at the beginning of this governance journey. So, again, in this context, knowledge needs to flow in terms of potential gaps in performance in being able to meet the operational goals. And ultimately, we also need to be able to provide meaningful visibility for assurance purposes to the governance of the organization that, in fact, the execution of these practices is producing the outcomes that are needed to achieve the strategic objectives. So, all of this, again, is driven by a flow of knowledge. Do we have the information that we need? Is that information being shared appropriately with the right stakeholders? Do we have the visibility not only into our own work and workflows and knowledge flows, but also into information from other teams, information being shared to other teams, and how we then use that to assess the sufficiency of our capabilities and to be able to provide meaningful assurance back to our governors?